Hey everybody, it's the Einstein of Wall Street from the balcony at the New York Stock Exchange. I've brought you, this is Trade Like Einstein for Money News Network. This is my podcast to the stars. Ladies and gentlemen, I brought you everything from finance to fashion to food to fun, breaking ceilings, telling stories. Recently, we've done this partnership with Apex Trader Funding, okay? Our preferred futures trading platform. We had the fortunality, I'm not sure that's a real word, of meeting these two wonderful people who are behind me, who have an amazing business together. She's the monetizing monster of all time, and Boris will tell you his story. So they're here to tell their story. We plan on doing so many wonderful things together. They're in the market, they're in futures, they're in fundamental versus technical analysis. They've got the whole jam going on. And so we're breaking all the barriers. We're here to give you the breakdown, the big breakdown. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you.
Welcome, Boris. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Good to be with you.
So, look, you know what? We couldn't have a better place to sort of do this beginning of our relationship and tell the story. You know, we're here like at the corner of Broad and Wall, money and don't walk and walk. And we're in the New York Stock Exchange, right? Iconic, from 1903. This is where it all happened. So your guys' lives, right? If it wasn't for this place and like Alexander Hamilton in 17 whatever building the stock exchange and the whole idea of banking, we wouldn't be here, right?
That's right.
God knows what. We'd be doing something cool. We know that.
That's right.
But anyway, so just give me a little bit of introduction on each of you. Go ahead, Kathy. Just tell me who you are and, you know, give me Kathy at like 18 years old.
I mean, Kathy at 18 years old was on the desk of JP Morgan. I was the youngest trader ever at JP Morgan, and I was hired, you know, right from college. But I have to say, I didn't start on the trading desk. I actually started on the credit derivatives desk, and that was right before credit derivatives blew up the market. So thank God I never stayed there. But that's when I joined the Forex trading market making desk. And
at 18, though. So
at 18,
then you got to give me Kathy at 16.
Well,
what
okay,
led you to that
all right,
point,
let's
right?
go. Let's
There's
go
got to be a
backwards.
pre-story on that.
So I went to college when I was 13. And when I was 13, I thought, you know, I wanted to be pre-med. And so I went to New York University thinking, you know, this is the track that I want to be on. Realized, you know, I've never worked so hard in my life, cannot understand organic chemistry.
Right.
So then I took business classes and
That's what
trading
stopped me
classes.
from becoming a doctor.
And organic chemistry. I know, it's a
I
killer.
flunked it and I gave up.
Seriously, I've never worked so hard in my life. So, you know, I joined Stern, which is the business school.
Right.
I started to learn about trading. I started to learn about investments. Actually, at that time, and this was in late 90s, I interned for a guy who was the head of the Market Technicians Association. And so this is very early technical analysis. He had his own hedge fund. I don't know if you know him. His name is Dodge Dorland.
No.
And so he taught me how technical analysis by X's and O's and drawing them with that. There was no, you know, computer system at the time. So, you know, he introduced me to the founders technical analysis, like Ralph Akampora and Steve Nielsen. So I learned trading, you know, and technical analysis from the pros.
From the horse's mouth, my God.
But you know, that's not really the way I trade today. And so after doing that, I joined the prop trading desk, the market making then prop trading desk of JP Morgan. And what we did there.
And you were the only, guaranteed you were the only woman on that desk. Yeah, or the
no,
youngest.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't
okay, in the
only
90s,
woman.
maybe no, there were some
yes,
women. You're right.
But I was certainly the youngest. And so we were doing Forex trading. And what was really interesting, we were talking earlier, is that, you know, at the time, we were just trading flow. And it wasn't that hard of a job, I think. It was just
it's like a market maker. You had both sides of the trade.
And then also you heard the orders that were coming in. You kind of knew how to position. But, you know, JP Morgan merged with Chase. I moved to the prop trading desk. And that's where all my skills were learned. We learned how to look at other markets and how to use that information to drive trades in the Forex market. And that's where the fundamentals came in.
So you're talking about equities, economic data, all kinds of
rates,
stuff, right?
You know, Fed fund futures, yields, options, everything, and how to fuse it all together. So I learned how to look at the other markets, look at a big picture, and use that to trade. So that's still what I do today, which is I kind of take a 360 approach where we look, you know, at the entire market, fundamentals, technicals, market sentiment, which is a lot of what you do. Take all the information in and focus on the most active market hours, which is the New York Open. For me, believe it or not, the Asia Open as well. And, you know, to find the best opportunities from there. So, you know, I've been doing that pretty much since 99, but throughout the course, you know, I've, you know, authored.
So now you're only like 23 years old, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And so what happened, you know, you're right, I was 23. everyone sitting next to me was your age and or your age.
55.
And I thought to myself, I can't be doing this. The exact same thing for the next 30 years. This was the tail end of the .com boom, where everyone wanted to participate in something exciting. So at the time, retail trading started to really grow. And this was retail Forex trading. So it was a perfect fit for me. It was the energy of the .com. It was trading and Forex trading, which was I was doing already. So I joined at the time a very small firm called FXCM. I started their research desk, and they exploded. They got exchanged, they got listed, and they got delisted. This whole drama around there. You know the drill. But I started their most popular Forex trading research portal, and with fundamental analysis. And I shared my thoughts with the world on where I think things are going. People thankfully appreciated it and thought what I said was somewhat smart, and kind of built.
It is fun when people actually listen to you and think what you know is really important.
Oh my gosh, Peter! When I see people take my book and it's like highlighted and with tabs, I feel so proud. But at the end of the day, it's just sharing what's in my brain about fundamental analysis and how to, most importantly, turn that into trading opportunity. That's what I love to do. That's why I teach people, every single day. That's what I do with our clients every single day, and that's what we're still doing today.
So that ability to be a student of the market every day, that's why it's exciting for me. Because what you just said is you share it with other people and you let them how do they see it, right? Because there's always something that someone sees that you don't see, and that's what really curates the whole big picture, which is super exciting.
Absolutely, because everyone comes with different skill sets. I focus on certain things, which is fundamentals, but sometimes you gotta look at other things, which is volume, price action, that always matters.
Correct. And we always talk about that too with David Green, which is that there's no ego in this. Where if somebody comes with an idea that works in our picture, then we're happy to open it up. Like originally when we came out with our course, we were doing the EMAs, right? Exponential moving out. We were doing the 9, the 15, 65. One of our students said, "You know what, David? We like the 30. The 30 actually works for us. Can you check it out?" And we did. We tracked it. And in fact, it turned out in this volatile market, it's very telling on what it is. So we added it to our mix. And so that's the wonderful thing about growing and sharing your stuff, as opposed to ego. There are some people who come into this industry, they think they've got diamond hands. It's all about them. They post pictures of them lying on the back of a Bugatti with stacks of 10,000, and they don't give a heck about it. But you're paying it forward in a big way. That's super exciting.
I don't think you can have an ego as a trader, right? Because the market will bruise it every day. So you have to, every single day you're looking at your results, for better or worse. It's either a reinforcement of your strategy, or you've got to take stock of what you did and think about what you did wrong. So I think being a trader, it's part of, like exactly what you said, you can't have an ego.
Cannot. And look, we learn more from failure than we do from success.
Absolutely.
And how about you, sir?
So
how do you play into this mix? So we are being styled by the same guy.
Yes, we are. We have the same style. So I actually started my career a step away from here at Drexel Burnham Lambert at 60 Broad. Just literally.
That was the 80s, right?
That was the 80s. Now here's the interesting part about the 80s is that we go back to the 80s. Is that my first real big experience on Wall Street was the '87 crash, and I think
was mine.
And I think out of that was the formative experience of my life that I took away, that anything can disappear in an instant. And even though I know it all came back, that kind of a mentality has always driven me to do much more short-term trading. And I've realized that the only thing you can predict is the next minute. It's much harder to predict the next hour, and it's really, really hard to predict the next week or the next month or the next year. And out of that, I think, formed my whole approach to how I trade, which is, what I do now. I'm basically all day long scalping. Stock index
and scalping's
futures.
not a bad word.
No,
right? It's not at all. It's a matter of making small bits of money every hour, every day, and making it add up at the end of the month.
Right, and staying very, very alert to risk, and just being, and just taking your money, plucking it like a pigeon, like a little bit at a time, and being able to be
you
always,
eat what you kill too. I mean, that's
you eat what you kill, and then being always in cash at the end of the day, so you're not experiencing.
You put your head on the pillow, and you're good.
And you're good because you're good, and so that's and that's what I do now all day long. And Kathy and I have been partners for a very, very long time. We actually met at FXCM. We created the portal that she talked about, Daily FX, which which was very good.
So do you guys own? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you guys have a fund, or I mean, where did this relationship go from once you're meeting at FXCM?
So we actually have an advisory service. We've had an advisory service since 2007 or 8. It's been so long. Yes. It's been so long. And of course, originally when we started, we were all focused, all Forex all the time.
Forex, okay.
And then, and when I was at Drexel Burnham, I traded everything, stock index futures and stocks and everything else. And so, I think I don't remember what year it was. I think maybe it was like 18, 19, a little bit before COVID.
1890?
Yeah, 2018, 90, right, exactly. I started, I got I know what it was. Chicago Mercantile Exchange came out with micro futures contracts. Right. I forget what it was.
That was at E-minis?
Yeah, E-minis.
Okay.
The E-micros,
E-micro.
which was even smaller. And I said, oh, this is a really, really interesting retail product.
Right.
So I got interested in that. And I just of course, slowly but surely got pulled away completely out of Forex into indices. And now I'm just Mr. NASDAQ, Mr. S&P all day long.
So what about you at 16? No, you at 16.
Me at 16.
Yeah.
Me at 16, I had no interest in finance at all. I was, just.
You were a fashion designer.
I was just a regular kid, I did go to Columbia University.
Okay.
And really, for lack of just not having to choose anything, I chose economics, not even as a major,
That's
but
some
as
dry stuff.
Yeah, it was just like I don't know what I want to do, but this sounds okay. I'll try it, And the irony of the whole thing is that when I graduated from Columbia, I had an offer from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York to trade on their Forex desk.
Out of nowhere. Because you were at Columbia.
And I was at Columbia, and I was like, I think I'll do something else.
That doesn't sound that exciting.
It was exciting. It was unbelievable. I can't believe to this day.
So you didn't take that job?
I did not take that job. It was, it would have been a very, very different journey for me. But I'm glad. Everybody has a different path to follow.
100%.
And I wouldn't change it for the life of me. Yeah. And I wouldn't have met Kathy. We would have been partners for so long.
Yeah.
So we have a great time.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love. And our whole job now is to really help retail traders become the best traders they can be.
Your advisory is for retail. So give me a little more, break down the advisory thing. So it started obviously in one of the hardest years ever, right? 2008, right?
Well,
were you already in the market when the financial crisis happened?
Yes, because we've been doing this, for FXCM for a very, very long time. And so people had known us already. We were already, talking about the markets. There was a whole, kind of energy that was there for trading in general.
Right.
And actually right now, we haven't seen that type of energy until today where we see the birth of those prop firms.
That was the first time where you saw an explosion of retail into the market.
Exactly. So it's very similar to the situation when we started trading.
It is.
So yes, we did ride through that pain, but I mean, we also had the experience of what the markets were before, so we knew that, in hindsight, it was going to come back, all right?
Right.
And that's a really important part.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, because people, look, I think and this is a really interesting thing. So I'm a forensic broker. I try and analyze movement of markets and whatnot and identify the new players in the game. And we know that, like, COVID came along, right? Democratization of the trading community, not since the time of you're talking about, where there are 50 million new traders that came in.
Right.
Everybody was sheltered in place at home. They had a couple shekels in the bank from their stimulus check. All eyes were on Wall Street, and suddenly then the free trading apps with Webull and Robinhood came along, and suddenly you had access to the market. You were all invited to this party that nobody was ever invited to for the longest time. Right. What we noticed with my partner David Green was this is an opportunity. All these free trading apps have given you access to the market, but none of them have an educational component to it, and that's what we saw. But what I'm seeing is one of the most exciting things that I've seen in the recent sell-off that we saw during February, which I'm calling a mini crash, and I don't use the word crash lightly. Right, from February 19th until April 19th, we saw that massive self-inflicted economic Armageddon, as I was calling it, imposed on the new administration. No disrespect to the big guy, about tariffs, and all that story was that we saw that a lot of the retail people that we're talking about that came in around COVID got their noses smacked down, a bunch of them. 80% of them blew up their trading accounts. A few of them came back, and there's a new resurgence of retail in the marketplace. And what I'm seeing is they've matured a lot. That day that the market opened down so big in the middle of April, that we saw that $4.1 billion come into the market, we opened down big, and by the end of the day we were up. It was an intraday reversal. That was all retail buying. The big selling in February, March was not the retailers freaking out that, oh my God, I think the market's crashing and I want to retain any profits I have, and freaking out. They were the ones buying the dip. And we haven't seen that kind of a maturity growth in educated retail traders in a long time. I don't know if we've ever seen that. So we are able to document that the buying that was done during the sell-off in February, because I'm getting so much flack now from like, oh, I missed that boat. Why would I want to buy the market now at the high? Because, I missed another boat, right? We know that you've learned over time that when everyone else is selling, that's probably a buying opportunity because literally even the crashes have been a buying opportunity, right? I don't know about 29. I wasn't here for that. Neither were you, although some people think I was. But going back to 87, I was a clerk in 87. We were back to even. It took a while.
Yeah, like 2 years.
Right.
Yeah,
At 08 and 09, it took 7 years to get back to even. COVID, we were back to even by August.
Right.
So when you see retail start to be the buyers on dip, it's such a short period of time, while the rest, I was even concerned in March, April, that maybe we are going to look back at this time as a time we should have sold because it's going to get a lot worse, because I couldn't put myself into the orange guy's mind because it looked scary, right? When we were in the middle of that sell-off, it looked bad. But retail was buying that. It was the mutual funds and a lot of hedges and institutions that were selling in March, April, because you know what? They were people who were heavy in equities at the time. They had made money in 2023 and 24, and they realized, am I going to give all that back? And so they were freaking and they were bailing. And it was retail that was buying. So I just sort of wanted to, because you reminded me of retail in the market, because they've matured a lot. The ones who came back have grown.
You make a very good point, but what I find, because we talk to traders every day too, is a lot of them, they still don't know. I mean, you're right. A lot of the traders that we speak to only started trading maybe 2 years after COVID. The first year or two of COVID, everyone's just kind of wrapping their hands around everything. So they're just new to the market, and they did not necessarily experience the history that we've had. And so when we talk to them, they don't know what happened at the prior crashes. They don't know what happened during the COVID crash. And so it was hard for them to relate. And I think, there's still so much, while they have matured, like you said, there's still so much that they need to learn. They don't know yet because it was just been a bull market all along, except for that, right?
Which gives them irrational enthusiasm at some point.
And because we're so used to trading volatility, and we used to trading Trump the first term.
Trump 1.0.
We were very prepared for this. Even I remember we were in Australia when he had first come. Anybody was like, "Oh, his dollar is really strong," and I'm like, "Believe me, the first thing you understand about the Trump administration is they don't want a strong dollar." And of course, we had a 10% decline.
And we also knew, for example, that he always had headlines in the after hours. At least for a forex trade, the market's open. In a lot of CFD and futures traders, those markets are open 24 hours, and so there's a lot of opportunity and risk during the evening hours in New York. So you had to be mindful of that. You had to know that and be aware of that.
And if they have not had that experience, that's why we do what we do. Because I think I love being able to share with them that history component. Look, technical analysis is a day-to-day thing, but you need to have some frame of reference. Fundamentals also. I think technicals have sort of, if there's a horse race, technicals are a little bit further along in this post-COVID world because they're not as significant. And for investing, they're always going to be significant. But from a day trading point of view, the technicals, I'm remind you of. I have a photographic memory, so I'll remind you that when Trump 1.0, he was in Davos. He had just been elected president. He was in Davos for his first economic forum there, and it was the first time he ever mentioned China and tariffs. And it was 11 o'clock in the morning, and he said tariffs and China in a big way, and the market sold off 1,400 points in 15 minutes. And everybody was completely freaking out. It was that first volatility that we're seeing from one of his tweets, and then by the end of the day, we were up 1,400 points. He had done that pullback shtick that he does, throwing out the big blanket and scaring everyone off. By the end of the day, we had rallied 2,800 points on the Dow and closed the market up 1,400 points. So when people talk to me about the reference of the tariff shtick, we now know that February 19th, it was the first time he mentioned, I'm imposing tariffs on Canada and Mexico, 25%. Spies sold off 70 handles that morning, and they immediately bounced back. If you knew what happened the first time, you're more or less likely to freak, and you're more likely to buy the dip type of mentality.
Yeah, you have to understand it's always a negotiating tactic.
But I think this is a reflection of experience, and I think that's why it's really important to learn from and listen to people who have market experience, as opposed to someone just started trading a year ago and just caught the uptrend in gold, and that was the only story they can tell. And so I think there's a lot of those examples, and no one really talks anymore about those end of day flash crashes because we haven't had them yet, but they'll come back. They'll come back. And we
We'll
remember them, and most people haven't traded through them.
Exactly.
So, it is this experience and the warnings and the history and the learnings that I think we all bring to the table.
It's the school of hard knocks that really gives
yes.
100%. Look, we are seeing, though, it's amazing that the timeline is so
compressed.
Because
Unbelievable.
I always joke about this, the terminology, I always go after the mainstream media for them using this catastrophist approach. Like, this is the worst day ever. It's the best day since then. It was the worst day since then. When at the end of the day, crashes or the death cross or the bond market this and that and all this, recession, depression, those words are no longer relevant in a market. And I always use that example I just gave you. In a market, bull market, bear market, by definition, that day we went from a bear market by definition in the morning to a bull market when we rallied. Like, so it's no longer has the relevance it did back in the day.
No, because I think the information is so quickly disseminated, and more importantly, not just disseminated, but actually acted upon. It's like you were saying, we all receive information on X instantaneously. Like if the guy on Bloomberg gets the same time as us. And then the retail crowd, like you were saying, before could participate from their home office on their app.
Everyone with an iPhone and $100 is suddenly a trader.
And that kind of an instant response and connection is what creates an incredibly fast loop. Markets have definitely gotten faster, and you have to adapt to that, absolutely.
Well, talk about adapting. That's really where the trading tactics come in, because we're traders first, and we love to talk about markets. I love, see people say I'm an analyst, but I'm always a trader first. And so I think, this description you gave of the market turn and the market volatility is exactly why you have to employ specific trading tactics, which is, short target, long target, or, small positions, or
stop orders on every trade.
And those are the things that you need to be on the top of your mind, not the back of your mind. And you need to know exactly how you're going to exit the trade before you even get into it. So I think that's something people really need to learn.
You reminded me that I was coming up here during the time of COVID, right? And when I got back on the floor and the whole meme, I was here the day the GameStop stopped trading 29 times that day. I was in the crowd trading it, right? I was actually on the phone with David Green that day, and the stock had gone from 2 to 20 to 483, and everyone's calling me like, Pete, what do we do here? And I want to buy it, right? And should I buy it at 320 or 380? And I'm going. I called David, and David's a technician. That's his bottom line, right? And he goes, Peter, the next spot where GameStop is a buy is $151. I said, last sale's 483, David. What are you talking about? He says, at the technical level, 151 is the price. The stock went from $483 to $150.75. It broke his limit, down $300. It broke his support level by 25 cents and went up to $37. So it's a perfect example of that. And I was up here with doing an Instagram Live, and I'm on with these guys, and they're calling, you're an old man, you don't know anything, that stock's going to the moon. I said, it may go to the moon, but it's not going to the moon today. I was begging people to sell like AMC and Rivian that had just gone, they were up 3,000%. They're going, and I'm going, you bought it at 20, it's trading at 70. My gut is you should make a sale. And they're all going, you're an old man, go to the grave. We don't need to hear from you, old man. Right? All over Twitter, they were calling me like, go to the retirement home. We don't need you here. And I'm going, guys, mark my word. If you bought it at 20, it's trading at 65 in one day. I would probably take, no one got broke taking a profit. Just curious, and they were just literally, I took a photo of it, they were just berating me on Instagram Live. And that evening, something came out. They did a secondary. They did a secondary at $42, and all these guys are going, "Oh, Mister, could you call me and help me? I'm in trouble. I'm long at 70." I'm going, "You're an idiot." What can I say? So I love that. I love the fact that we've met each other. So let's talk about that for a second. So there's a company called Apex Trader Funding. Okay, they are a futures traded platform. They give accessibility and funding to new traders who could not. Look, let's explain it for a second. So if you want to day trade this market, we just talked about the new, accessibility to the market that came around with the free trading apps and all that. And then there's the educational component that Wall Street Global, and I'm sure these guys also brought to the table around that time. But the bottom line is if you want to be a day trader, you have to have $25,000 or trade a cash account, which is not that exciting, to be a day trader, to cover underneath the pattern day trading rules. So you've got a couple of companies, Top Step and Apex sort of surface. There are other ones who basically saw an opportunity to be able to give financing within the simulated trading space, right? Giving people an account for $30, $33, $18, whatever it's going to be. Give you some simulated money, as much as $50,000 or $100,000. get qualified, learn to trade the market, and then get paid to trade. So this is a way, and it's an amazing opportunity. All barriers to entry are down. It totally opened the doors to millions and millions of young people and old people who suddenly would love to have been in the market but did not have 25 grand. They were looking for excitement. They were looking for that get-rich-quick scheme thing. And that trading $500 cash account in options was not that exciting, right? And so that trading the volatility in this crazy market was. So this came along. Once again, we know opportunity is the mother of invention. These guys came along with that opportunity. These people, wonderfully enough, have been with Apex on an affiliate basis, on a marketing basis, and all different reasons. They've made a deal to be with Apex as well a while before we did, and then we just recently partnered up with Apex as our preferred futures trading platform. And so we've now met David Green. I'm sorry, he's absent. He's in Boca, probably trading this dip. I'm sure he bought the dip and sold the high. It's always the way it is. And but real trading. And so these wonderful people have come into our world, and we're super excited about doing a lot of stuff in the future. We each bring something different to the table, whether it's technical, fundamental, FX, all that, the educational component, the marketing, monetization of this amazing space. Look, at the end of the day, we love telling our story and giving the opportunity for us. I think you guys agreed that every day is like the Super Bowl. Right, you know, that excitement that you get. It's I always say to young people who ask me, like, what should I do? Find something you love to do, get really good at it, and then do it. Right, and then you'll have to pivot along the way. But at the end of the day, this is one of those things that gives you excitement on a daily basis.
I used to always say it's one of the few jobs where you look forward to Mondays.
Exactly.
Yes,
Totally.
yes,
I mean, can you imagine that? Nobody does that.
Nobody does that.
And I have to give credit to Boris because, you know, he's trading prop every single day.
Yeah.
He's passing, you know, challenges. He knows how to do it. He's teaching people how to do it. So he comes with, you know, I don't know if you want to share any
Please
of your.
Well, you know, I got to tell you, first of all, Peter, like, you can't imagine the opportunity. Even if you're a day trader, like you were saying, you need 25,000 in stocks. But let's say you want to do futures, 5,000, 10,000.
Yeah.
Now imagine if all of those constraints disappeared and all you needed was $25,
Yes.
which is literally lunch in New York. Not even lunch.
Exactly.
It's breakfast for us. For us, and the opportunity then to be able to pass the challenge, which is what I teach people to do. And we have a very, very, very specific system that we've worked over years that works incredibly well to help people
pass the Apex challenge?
To pass the Apex challenge. As a matter of fact, you know, sort of like the industry rules is about only 5% of people are ever able to actually pass these challenges.
And 80% of day traders blow their accounts up and go walk away forever.
And we're able to actually, 7 out of 10 traders that work with us are able to pass. And like, nothing makes me happier. Every single day I'll have somebody say, I just got funded 50,000.
That's the most exciting thing in the world.
That has been the most satisfying part of my career ever, just to be able to give people that opportunity for financial security, opportunity for financial freedom, and just to have fun in the market at no personal cost, except for, you know, the small interest fee that they have. That's an incredibly powerful thing to do, and they love it. And then, you know, and then after that they get funded, and then we work with them on trying to get actually money out of the market. And of course, all of those things are, every day is a new challenge, every day is a new approach, and having, you know, great strategy, having a great discipline approach, all of that really, really helps people out.
To be able to share that discipline and consistency, to share what our experiences, how, you know, and also look, one of the frustrating things was by starting an academy, teaching people to trade and all that, was those barriers to entry. Like, we're out there trying to sell something to give people, look, at the most reasonable, or obviously the cheapest course on earth, and nobody out there is coaching and mentoring the way we are, and yet once you've taken our course, you still needed $25,000 to trade. Like, who has that? And then you're trying to convey that excitement that you get by actually being in the market and making a little money. And then like, oh, well, $500 option account, that's not really exciting. Like, I did a contract that, you know, it didn't work and they walked away. So now to have this is the piece of the puzzle that was missing, right? So at the end of the day, yes, you're traded simulated money, but there is a path to trading live. And that feeling, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, that simulated money is the exact same prices as real money.
You're trading the market.
You're trading the exact same situation. And it is, I basically equivalent to the way pilots are taught in a simulation. All modern day pilots are really taught in a simulation and they eliminate so many errors. And I got to tell you, one sort of side benefit of all of this.
You want no errors when you're up there with
you don't want no errors when you're on a plane, exactly. But, you know, if you're a regular day trader, if you've traded, you know, for 20 years, going back to this actually improves your trading tremendously. The other day,
It makes it more relevant to today.
Tremendous. The other day, I passed a few accounts, and I was just like, it was the Friday afternoon. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back into my own, my real trading account. Let me trade. And I was just boom, 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 all because I was so well trained myself off the simulation. It was amazing. I was like, wow, I really became a better trader myself by doing this. And that is really, really true.
The rules create good, guardrails for you and good parameters, and then you start to learn behavior without having to make the mistake. I want to risk 10% of my account on one trade. You can't do that, and you know you can't do that. So people look at the rules as guardrails to teach them to trade better.
Exactly. And then it almost becomes like instinctual. You once you absorb all the rules, you start doing things naturally, correctly, and that really is what keeps you in the game and have fun.
And look, at the end of the day, our goal is obviously to motivate and inspire millions of people all over the world to be trading. We have stories of people from abroad, people who would never have access to this market, right? I mean, when we do a monthly webinar, Masterclass, which we're going to be doing together in August. We're super excited about that, and we have probably anywhere from 800 people to 1,000 register. Half of them show up, half of them engage and get set up for Apex and buy our course. But to see people in countries all over the world, look, there are going to be, by the end of this year, 1 billion traders in India, right? To have see people from when we say the first thing when everyone comes on the webinar, it's like, so where did you hear about us? And they'll say everything, from Apex or my videos or whatever. And then we'll ask, so where are you from? And literally you're going to see literally every country is represented. I recently did a thing. I mean, and I love those inspirational stories. There's a young lady named Ana Bacoa. She was a soap opera star in Mexico, and she was sort of winding out of that industry, and she learned about trading. She met me online, and we started talking about trading. She started a trading organization. She's thousands of people strong. It's called Acción Latinas. They came up here with 60 of her traders, and they trade pre-market, mid-cap, small-cap, super volatile stuff. Everyone finds their niche, but if you're given, it's amazing. That's what's exciting, because if you open that door to everybody, everyone's going to find their...
That is actually the coolest thing about this, is that it doesn't matter what strategy, even my own strategy, we have 100 different ways people trade it. Some of them trade it exactly like me, others trade it completely differently, but they use the same rules. That's the beauty of trading, is you can make it your own completely, and that's actually the most important part.
And you can scale it.
And you can scale it, and you can scale it, exactly.
So look, I think we're on the same page about this. So anyway, going forward, so we just gave you a little breakdown on who these two wonderful people are and what they're doing, and it's sort of a perfect complement to me and David Green. Just to give you a background on David, I mean, because I think this interview delves into what these guys do, but also about our potential collaboration under the sort of auspices of Apex, because we're obviously on the same page. We want to help people come into Apex. We want to educate them. We want to help them qualify their accounts, which is a big deal. And then at the end of the day, we are giving opportunity to people who would not have any opportunities. This opens every door up. And you know what? Look, just opening the door is not enough. Some people, and especially in this industry, need people to hold your hand, because it's scary. It's money. Money makes people do some funny stuff, right? We just started doing a YouTube channel with David, Wall Street Global Trading Academy's YouTube, Trading the Market Live. And one of the things I was trying to get people into the channel, because it takes a minute to introduce it to people, is I sort of, I said, so are you that person who just opened up an account and you're a new day trader and you just don't know how to start, right? You're sitting at your computer all alone in your basement, because it's a very lonely job, right? Unless it's part of a team or a Discord or whatever. And you're wondering, like, what do I do now? Do I look at a watch list? How do I trade the market? So we said, come on our channel. David's trading pre-market and through the opening bell, so from 8:30 until 10 o'clock, and we will give you the steps. We'll hold your hand to know what to do in the morning, because that's sort of probably, I can see somebody who's brand new at this going like, what do I do now? Like, how do I find a stock? That's one of the biggest questions we get asked. Like, so how do I find a stock to invest in, or which are the futures I'm going after, or what is the main thing? Look, price action and technical analysis are the only two ways to curate an account and learn how to trade now, 100%. Right? Those are the two things. And the only way to blow up an account is averaging into a trade and not having a stop order, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we ask students all the time, so how many of you use stop orders? No. And how's your trading going? I'm losing money. So, well, maybe you should address that. So why don't you use a stop order? There's a very funny, I do this when I give tours to traders who come down to the floor. The biggest the biggest thing that the story, right? The thing that most traders who have never been down here think is that market makers are out to screw them.
Right.
So they believe that, well, why don't you use stop orders? Well, because the market maker sees my stop order and he'll take the stock all the way down to my spot. He'll take me out and then run it up. So I said, okay, so there's a market maker who trades $1 billion a day who's being judged on his P&L, and he's worrying about your 900 shares of NQ that you're trading. That's what he's focused on. I said, first of all, that doesn't happen, right? It's never happened. In the old days, yes, sometimes, you know, then when we'd be trading big chunks of stock on the floor, we'd be looking to put on a print. Sometimes you got stopped out. But at the end of the day, if you're in a trade that way and you're averaging in and then you get stopped out, look, that's people also don't like to accept a loss.
They hate
right?
that.
I would rather
part.
lose $50. They'll stay in a losing trade way longer than they'll stay in a winning trade.
Part. And I tell you, and that's actually one of the great things about Apex trading is because you're trading in a simulated environment, it's a lot easier to accept a loss in a simulated environment than it is in a real environment. And by doing that, you actually consciously and subconsciously teach yourself the good habit so that when you translate yourself to real money, you actually maintain that habit. And that's really helpful.
That's the exciting thing. So look, I want everybody to watch this, to go check out Apex Trader Funding. There's a link in my bio, okay, to open up a course. You can use WSGTA. That there's a code for you to get the cheapest price they have. Please check out BK
Traders.
BK Traders. Check out what we're doing. We're doing a masterclass here, Utah.
Yes, we're doing a masterclass together in late August. You know, you've got the link. You'll share it with your community. It's going to be the three of us along with David Green. We're going to share our insider tips from the trading from the trading floor.
Yes,
and
we're going to take you 1, 2, 3 steps into how we do it every single day. It's going to be the most really interesting webinar.
We will take people who are retail traders who are struggling. We'll take people who don't know a stock from a sock. We'll take people who have been around for a while and haven't been able to get their feet wet in this. We'll take people who don't know about this accessibility and funding that Apex Trader Funding offers. We're going to be able to share our experience. David Green, master technician, has been doing this for a long time, former market maker. Each one of us, now what I was so excited about doing this interview was, you know, sometimes there are a lot of people trading the market for 2 years. They're either those who are posting those pictures on Instagram with tons of money and think they're masters, or the traders who have been around for 2 years who think they know everything. Humility is really, is something that's necessary, and always be a student of this market. We're learning every day. Right,
Absolutely.
and that's why we're on boots on the ground. Right. No disrespect to soldiers. We are boots on the ground talking to retail traders daily and seeing what questions do they ask, what are their fears, and what are the impediments to doing this. Because right now, it's very scary, right? People are really intimidated by the market. But right now with Apex and with Wall Street Global and with these wonderful people, there's nothing that's an impediment. Fear should not be your motivator in this. Fear should be your motivator in this. The fact is that the accessibility, the funding, right? And the fact is that you can really get your fee out without risking any money. It's $18, it's $33. End up losing money, you do another account. That's not the way we want it to be. We want you to be able to get it. And if you talk to the four of us, and highlight David, who's not here, he's in Boca trading the market. But you know what? If that educational component, the experience, are key. Those are the things you can't buy, right? This is not a signal service. We're not some schnook on Twitter who's charging you $49 to tell you when to buy and sell a stock. If you're hungry, I can give you a fish, or I can teach you how to fish. That's what we're doing. We're teaching you how to fish. So we're super excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We look forward to doing amazing things together.
We're really looking forward. Come to our
Trade
webinar.
like Einstein. Come to the webinar, right? It's going to be together with Wall Street Global
and it's
and
free.
BK.
The
and
webinar,
it's free.
yes.
It's live, and we are going to be offering you all kinds of accessibility fun. When you come, we'll guarantee you one thing. If you come and watch it, you'll be a 50% better trader walking out of the gate if you never talk to us again. If you hang out and become part of the family, you know what? The world's your oyster, and you can do that, and that's all I got to say about that.